Photography is sometimes referred to as the art of painting with light. There's a lot of truth to that cliche. One thing I know for sure, the more light that you have to work with, the more creative options you have, and the more choices you have when it comes to gear. So what happens when the light is low and you still need to get the shots? You may find yourself photographing an event or other activity where flash is ineffective, distracting, or not permitted at all. If you have plenty of budget, the answer is easier. Just pick up one of the latest full-frame DSLRs like this D800, grab a zoom or a prime lens with a fairly wide aperture, and fire away. One thing I always like to show you though is how to get great results with less expensive gear. And there's nothing less expensive than the gear you already have, which, depending on what you have, may be everything that you need. Many of you have a DSLR like this one with a kit lens. This is certainly enough to get you started, and newer DSLRs, like this Canon Rebel T4i here, perform quite well in low light. But in this case, the kit lens has some limitations. It's f3.5 at the widest zoom setting, which is usually adequate in mid to low light, but as you zoom in, you lose f3.5 and creep all the way to f5.6 as you zoom. Shooting f5.6 in dim conditions is not fun. It requires you to increase your ISO setting, which will add noise to your photos. Noise is certainly not always objectionable, but most folks will want to keep it to a minimum. Canon makes this nice 40mm Pancake Lens. No, it's small and doesn't zoom, but 40mm is a very natural focal length for an APS-C sensor camera. The good news is that every time you use it, you have an available aperture of f2.8. Now we're getting somewhere. This won't give you close-ups of the starting quarterback's eyes as he's throwing a touchdown pass, but for your immediate surroundings, it's a very usable focal length with a decently wide aperture. Also, I really like its compactness. What does f2.8 mean? It means a wider aperture, which means that you can keep your ISO lower than you would at 40mm with your kit lens, which means lower noise in the final image. As a bonus, f2.8 will give you more creative control for depth of field effects. If you're willing to go a little bigger, but not much, Nikon, Canon, and many other brands offer 50mm lenses like this one that open to f1.8, f1.4, and even f1.2. Again, lower ISO to get the shot in low light while holding shutter speeds that will keep your photos from being a blurry mess. Need more reach? Use this 85mm f1.8 lens for portraits. It's definitely the sharpest lens I own, and it's under $500. Look around for a used 50mm lens, and you may be able to find one for around $100. For DX cameras, Nikon makes this great 35mm f1.8 lens, which is $200 and is a natural field of view for DX cameras. Need wider angles? I picked up this 24mm f2.8 lens for just a few $100s. What about zooms? That's where we blow the budget. Lenses like this 70-200 are fantastic. f2.8 throughout its entire telephoto zoom range. The problem? If you're on a shoestring budget, you may get sticker shock. But wait, what if you have that great event coming and it's in low light? You can rent one of these through several online outfits for about $100 a week. Camera dealers and other retailers love to steer people towards high-priced, wide-aperture zooms that are great in low light. They are great, and I have a couple, but primes like these are often more capable in low light, although, they don't have the same flexibility as a zoom to change the field of view on the fly. With prime lenses, though, you'll often come home with sharper images, shot at lower, less noisy ISO, while maintaining shutter speeds that you can't maintain in low light with these kit lenses. While you can spend a lot of money on primes if you choose, many are $100 to $500 and produce extremely sharp quality images. So before you trade in that camera body for the latest model or jump from a cropped sensor camera to an expensive full-frame body, ask yourself, could prime lenses help me do what I want to accomplish without breaking the bank? In part 2 of this video, I talk about some more tips and tricks to getting great low light images without expensive gear.